CNN has gone from being a joke to dangerously treasonous. Monday morning, CNN broke with this story that even the New York Times has debunked. The New York Times debunked.
Good morning, I'm Jim Sciutto in New York.
And I'm Poppy Harlow. We're so glad you're with us this Monday morning, and we do begin with a really significant CNN exclusive. And Jim, this is your reporting. You have learned about a highly secretive intelligence operation by the United States.
That's right, Poppy. Multiple Trump administration officials with direct knowledge tell me that in a previously undisclosed secret mission in 2017, the U.S. successfully extracted from Russia one of its highest-level covert sources inside the Russian government. Knowledge of the Russian covert source's existence was highly restricted within the U.S. government. According to one source, there was, quote, no equal alternative inside the Russian government, providing both insight and information on Putin. A person directly involved in the discussions said that the removal of the Russian was driven in part by concerns that President Trump and his administration repeatedly mishandled classified intelligence and could contribute to exposing the covert source as a spy. The decision to carry out the extraction occurred soon after a May 2017 meeting in the Oval Office in which Trump discussed highly classified intelligence with Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov and then Russian Ambassador to the U.S. Sergei Kislyak. The intelligence concerning ISIS in Syria had been provided by Israel. The disclosure to the Russians by the president, though not about the Russian spies specifically, prompted intelligence officials to renew discussions about the potential risk of exposure, according to the source directly involved in the matter.
According to the New York Times and the CIA, this asset's identity was in danger and about to be compromised in 2016 before Donald Trump was elected, before Donald Trump ever took the oath of office. So how, pray tell, can CNN have this breaking story that this asset was removed from Russia after Trump became the president because things he was saying was a compromise to national security by freely talking about classified information? The truth is, the operation to get him out of Russia had been in place before Trump was elected, before Trump took the oath of office, and it wasn't until after Trump was in office that the full operation was put into gear to remove the asset from Russian soil. You have NBC reporting that the guy is now living in danger in Washington, D.C. What this is again, not simply a case of fake news. This is a case of a mainstream media. And I'm not just using hyperbole now when I refer to it as the lying, legacy, corporate, corrupt mainstream media that's a propaganda machine. That's not just good old-fashioned hyperbole. I'm not just doing this for dramatics. This is not just because I'm trying to get a little bit of a ooh out of the media. The media is dangerous. And it really is becoming an enemy of the state. And in particular, apparently, CNN wants the honors to this. Night after night, their so-called hosts, the Wolf Blitzed, the Jake the Tapper, Don Lemonhead, Fredo Cuomo, Anderson the Coop, night after night they go on, and they just absolutely do everything they can to undermine everything and anything that the president might be doing. And they are so livid that their almost 3-year ad nauseum Russian collusion narrative has been now so discredited. Even by the guy that was leading the investigation, Bobby Mueller, didn't give them what they wanted. And they're so bent sideways about this because they so went all in for this narrative. They can't possibly begin to face their viewers and admit, hey, we were wrong. Hey, we were in the tank for the other candidate. Hey, we hate this guy so much. We don't have proof of any of this, but we're just going to come out here every night and think about how can we outdo ourselves from the night before. And, you know, whatever it does to national security, your family, who cares? We hate Trump. That's what CNN, that's what PMSNBC, that's what they're all about now. They're just totally sold out to let's hate Trump at all costs, no matter what it does to the nation, no matter what it does to our ability around the world to be able to negotiate, to be able to deal with our allies. Who cares? We hate Trump, and that's all that matters. That's what the media is, and that's all it is. And this story is now proof positive. Do you remember when the Bush administration didn't like the fact that people were asking a little bit too many questions about some of the things that George W. was up to and how he got the military action that he wanted? Do you remember the name Scooter Libby? Do you remember assets who had their identities revealed, but then we were, you know, disparaging those assets, saying they weren't really assets for us. It was, you know, more like pretend assets, so it wasn't a big deal. Remember that? Do you remember how bat crap crazy the mainstream media went that George W. Bush and Dick Cheney and the Bush administration were compromising the identities of our assets, and this would put they and their families in grave danger? And that the president should be removed from office over that, and it was, remember all that? Now all of a sudden, it's the media lying and accusing President Trump of having somehow he has endangered us all with giving out of classified information, which he did not do. And they're telling the story about pulling this Russian operative out. The CIA is having to step in and claim that CNN's reporting is blatantly, completely false. By CNN talking about this, by NBC trying to corroborate it, you got to stick up for one of their own. You don't think that there are now Russian spies combing through D.C. looking for this asset? You don't think you put this person's life and family in danger? And if this was somebody who was actually a Russian who we flipped and was working for us, what about family that's still back in Russia? The mainstream media cannot be trusted because they are not giving you news and solid analysis based on facts and evidence. They are giving you conjecture and opinion because of their visceral hatred of Donald Trump that drives the agenda, that drives the narrative. And it puts you and I, it puts our country in grave danger. They diminish the office of president. Not the president's tweets, not his comments. They diminish the office of president. They diminish his ability to be able to negotiate, to be able to speak and represent the United States. When he was about to have a second set of talks with Kim Jong-un from North Korea, why, it was the Democrats out there at that point talking impeachment because this president can't be trusted. Yeah, way to go. And look what happened to those talks. They broke down immediately. Trump ended up having to leave early. And the mainstream media went into a collective orgasm being able to report that because the president was abroad, the Democrats were now taking measures for impeachment, making him absolutely impotent in being able to negotiate and hold a hard line with a rogue dictatorship and bring them back in line and maybe have peace without the thought of a military invasion. But the mainstream media and their hatred of Trump didn't do what was best for the country. Didn't do what was best for you or for me. They did what they felt they needed to do to drive this man from office and in the hopes of maybe driving up their ratings. But according to Humpty Dumpty over there at CNN, Brian Stelter, ratings are overrated. And they don't mean anything. Really? This is absolutely appalling and shameful. It is un-American. It is treacherous. And it is treasonous. When you get rebuked by the New York Times, when you're all playing on the same team and you're all trying to further the leftist agenda, and yet a member of your own compadre, your own peers, the New York Times comes out and prints an article last night discrediting everything you have been reporting for 24 hours, and then you're still standing by your story. We're still standing by it. Where are the CNN stockholders? Why is the head of CNN, why does he still have a job? Why is this cast of clowns allowed to come out every night, like Don Lemonhead, and pretend to be conscientious, insightful political commentators? They're none of that. They are verbal assassins attacking the President of the United States and every sacred American institution, ideal, value, and the very Constitution itself. That's now the legacy of CNN. They're not fake news. They're treason news. And that's what I got for you. Hey, thanks so much for watching. Make sure you give us a thumbs up and a like. Share this video, please, to your social media platforms. Let's get the word out. Let's continue to get our subscriptions up. And thank you. Thank you for spreading the word about this channel. Thank you for subscribing. If you're not a subscriber, please do so. Make sure that you smack the bell to get our next rant. And please leave a comment. I do read them.